So you're most welcome to our show, Q&A. So our first question, we would like to know who is Mr. Kasumba Paul outside the world of Africa. Thank you. Good morning to you. In the first place, you have a little ambushed me because I was moving on the veranda and they told me that you wanted to inquire a few things from me. But Kasumba Paul is my name. Incidentally, I'm a born of a city, my in particular, but I was born for called Faye. Those who come from that side know the place very, very well. That was in the mid-70s. To be in particular, that was 14th July 1975. And one of these days I had a birthday, which I didn't remember also, but the phone alerted me that it was my birthday. So from there, around the early 80s, 82, 83, when the war began, in particular, my mother was coming from Mitiana. So my mother moved to Mitiana and we went with the father to Bukoma Sindi. I started my schooling in Bukoma Sindi in a school called Buwenda Primary School. When I completed it, I came back to Kampala when the war was over, 1990. So I started my senior one in Kiambo College in 1991 up to 96 when I completed senior 6. Then from there I joined Makerere University for a degree in Bachelor of Science, majoring in mathematics and physics, and I did physics in particular. We used to call it 311. After the first year, I did only physics up to the end. When I finished that degree, I went for a diploma in computer science. Then I joined Crane Bank, where I worked for 2 years and I left. Then I joined another company called Link Community Development and I was posted in Masindi. From there, I worked for about 2.5 years. I got tired of working in a foreign land. I came back to Kampala. So as I was losing a little bit, I decided to go back for further studies. I went to UMI for my master's. After that, incidentally, I joined education. I did a postgraduate diploma in education, and then I joined Vienna College as a teacher, as a warden, as a class teacher, and as a welfare teacher for about 2 years. After 2 years, our head teacher changed and moved to St. Joseph's Nagalama. I remained in Vienna shortly and she invited me to join her. Then I moved to that place. But in my primary, I admired becoming a bishop. I saw Bishop, was called Bishop Dongo when we were in Bukoma Sindi, in a place called Villa Maria. We used to go to church at Villa Maria. Bishops were putting on very clean clothing with that red belt which you see. And every time I could see it, looking at people coming to kneel and pull his hands, I said I should become a bishop. So I joined partially a minor seminary called Buyoga. It is on the road going to Zimbabwe, where some of our family members are. And I was there for 2 years. But around P5, they used to interview us. Where is your parent? So I mentioned my father is Kasumbe Manuel, is here. Where is your mother? Nalumas Rebecca is in Mitiana. Where were they married from? Said no, they've never gone to church. And that was the criteria to continue with the seminary or not. So they kicked me out of the seminary because my parents were not legally married in a church. Basically.
So thank you very much. You have actually answered our second question. I think my questions for you are done. Let me hand over to my colleague.
Okay, for the times of being the head teacher of Our Lady of Africa, Mukono, where did you find Our Lady of Africa? Where is it? What are some of those achievements that you've registered being the head teacher of this school?
I'm trying to check. Well, I can say we have moved on. I came here on the 18th of February. I said 18th of February, 2018. And this school had a population of 964 learners from senior 1 to senior 6. You are now 1,571. That is some slight difference, but we are not yet full. Our capacity can accommodate 1,900 learners. So we still have space of about 300 only. And after that, that will be sufficient. The other thing I'm remembering very well, this structure was there and it was only on the ground like any other simple structure similar to those ones with 3 rooms. We used to call them buses. Boys were using it at their dormitory, and incidentally I found Mr. Wasaja. He was a warden, and I remember interacting with him, very small man, interacting with relatively taller boys and somehow fat boys. He is the first person I worked with when we were trying to guide the boys. So after some time, we had to demolish it and put another structure which can fit in the school. The girls' story building was not there. I also supervised its construction. That playground was a small part of it, which was very disorganized, and it was just collecting water from the upper side. Whenever it could rain, that is where water could settle. Behind, near the other side of the goalposts, there was a lagoon which used to keep frogs for practicals and snakes. So the snakes were quite many. They used to come and pick the frogs, at the same time invade the boys on the lower side. There was a well somewhere down there where the boys' shed is, and the villagers used to collect water from there. The school had no fence at all. We had that wire mesh which was everywhere, but it was worse at the girls' wing. And it was starting from behind the office. So I first organized that place behind the office because water could flow all the way from behind and just enter, then it slopes here and continues. Then the girls' wing had no fence. We needed it because I felt the girls were not secure. And then we continued with part of it to the other side. These pavers on the compound, we are stopping somewhere where these people are seated. The lower side here, they did not have any paving, and whenever it could rain, this soil used to flow. So that retention wall behind there near that dormitory, and this one here, I supervised its construction because soil could enter the classes, and it was a little, generally very ugly. As people are learning, when it rains, you get out, you have nowhere to step. It was a very ugly place to see. I remember 38 teachers who were staff members. We are currently 73 teachers, with other members 20 non-teaching staff and 20 who do the cooking and the cleaning. So we are totaling 112, but we used to stop at 47, and that was relatively a small number. One of the things I'm remembering very well, the dogs, which used to cross from everywhere. People are busy learning, then you just see a dog bumping into your class. And the girls could make a noise because they are not used or they don't like them. Of course, they are scaring. So the wall around the school was one of the very serious concerns. The chain link was there, but it had holes almost at every part, and it was very easy for these dogs to go through. Even stray boys could easily escape using some of those holes. Although I'm told even currently there are some stray people who make attempts, but my prayer when I pick the rosary is to get them, such that we can see how we can guide them collectively.
And lastly, we think dealing with big communities, kids, teachers, you're having a lot of responsibilities to handle. Kids bringing in their complaints, teachers are having problems, and this, how have you been able to handle all those complaints, relate with your fellow teachers, the students' complaints, everyone wants this, they want changes in the school. How do you handle all that?
Well, they are not necessarily complaints, but they are concerns. The concerns are many, and some need immediate attention, some need time. Those ones which need immediate attention, we devise and assign responsibilities to the other administrators we work with, because some issues must be sorted out immediately. Yesterday I got a call very late that the boys' water is not coming because the pump seemed to have got a problem. So I had to pay immediately. Somebody told me I'm in Kampala in Natete, now Mukono is too far. I said no. Even if it is far, whatever it requires, reach there and tell me. And I think the problem was fixed. So some of these areas you have to delegate as much as possible. But what I normally encourage, we have time for the staff, I have time for the learners. What I encourage the inner community, staff and students, when you have an issue which is serious, the word is serious. You don't need to come and say people are so many inside and this and this. You knock and enter and we listen to one another. The outsiders can be attended to later, because I feel your concerns are more relevant than people who come from outside. So, and I want to encourage you learners, even in my staff, I always tell them, if there is any issue you need to sort out, even when you find parents inside, just knock and come in. We can ask the parent to give us a little space, and we sort out this matter. But the concerns are many, as I've said, and we only handle them. I only handle them by dividing this labor. That follow up this, follow up this, follow up this, from the different teachers and the different administrators.
Thank you so much. As we are concluding, anyone having a question for our HM? Thank you so much. This is our last time appearing here, and the next time you'll see Q&A, it will be a new cabinet. Thank you so much. Then lastly, our deputy has some tokens for us, and I think I'll request our dear HM to hand them over to some of our presenters that have already presented and thank them.
Maybe one thing you have not asked me which I wanted. We said we have the concerns, but there are certain things I've not liked the time I've been around. And majorly this one is the disorganization of the boys in their rooms. I find it funny, as somebody who has ever attended a seminary, when we were there, you were taken around during orientation time, and you were shown the demarcations. This is where the school is, and that is all. This is what you do. The rest you just follow. But it bothers me when somebody, you can look at that building and see, when somebody gets inside the room, you take your tea and the balance you push your cup and then pour on the veranda. I find it very uncivilized. And even when we make some efforts to talk, you realize that some people don't want to understand. We organize the dormitory almost every holiday. Within 2 weeks after reporting, you find your bulbs removed because people don't need a lot of light. Reason they want to sleep when they came to study. Those are some of the things which make me scratch my head, and I try to think about the younger generation. What do you need most, and what do you deserve? I wish people can see things the way all of us see them. We would be in a very beautiful environment. And what bothers me, some of you join here after going through some other schools, but what you want to practice here is not what you have seen elsewhere. That is my challenge in the meantime. But it is my prayer as a Christian that I pray for you and reform and become the best people. My wish is to see you whenever you'll find you out of school, when you can say that that was my teacher and helped us on this or this. It is my prayer, and you should also take it, and please work towards that.